That's not that long, dude.
No, no, that's not. No, see, I love it because all my professors are like 5-page maximum. If you go more than 5 pages, I won't read it.
Hmm.
Because I actually really like it when they give you a page. I don't know about you, Nathan, but when professors give me word counts, I hate that. But when they're like, hey, make it like 2 pages, and then I'm like, okay, that's fine, I can do that. That's just so much more manageable than, you know.
Because I can shorten things as much as I want. I
Plus,
can't.
because a lot of when you have to make word counts, it's just bad writing.
Yeah, because then you start going, alright, so then the process ended up leading into this thing. And then it ends up going, the process which I have conducted in this day here today.
That's when you gotta do the extending, like adding like 10 different words. When you really, that's just bad writing.
Poor writing. And most professors can tell when it's poor writing.
But that doesn't mean I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
It just means I'm forced to reach an arbitrary limit.
Yeah.
If there's anything we've learned today, arbitrary limits are arbitrary and stupid.
Anyway, that's not the 2-page. It's about nature versus nurture, and I actually have to pick a side. And I'm like, I think even now, I mean, yes, the debate is still going on, but I think most people can say it's actually not either or, it's both, and we can't do that. He's like, pick which one. And I was like, but
both.
But it's not.
No,
it's
pick
not
one.
even close. Like, I mean, but the thing is, even in the textbook, they're like, you can't really pick one or the other.
I love it. They're like, do this, but like your teaching tells me.
Prof, you said not to pick one. I think I'll probably choose nurture. But
By the way, Sinky, quick off topic, but I don't know if you noticed, because it was like just announced or it just popped up on my Twitter. The U.S. Department of Justice is suing Texas.
I don't really know on the grounds of what they can sue.
Grounds of multiple things. However, actually, that the law in itself preventing a heartbeat, you know, it's as soon as you detect a heartbeat, it's 6 weeks. Technically, actually, experts have looked into this. You actually don't have a heartbeat at 6 weeks because the embryo doesn't have a heart.
It is so. This is why
it doesn't actually have a heart at 6 weeks. So where are you getting the 6-week heartbeat?
I hate. Well,
arbitrary doctors are.
I hate the whole abortion thing because the people who are talking about it are men and they never have to go through the.
Oh no. Whatchamacallit? Me and my Abuelita were explaining this, and they said, like, on the board that, like, made the rule, not a single woman was involved.
Yeah, it's just, you know, because they make it seem like it is such an easy decision to make, and maybe for some people it is. But for a lot of people, you know, it's a very hard decision. And
Whatchamacallit?
The fact that there are no women, I just can't. Plus, no, so Sarah Palin was trending today. And I was like, oh god, what did she do now? Because I think she might be secretly blonde, okay? But, she called AOC because I don't know if you saw what AOC had said about she sort of schooled a man on like what actually happens and how like most women don't know they're pregnant after 6 weeks. It's so then Palin was like, she's a fake feminist. Me as a feminist, I am offended by this, what she said. And everyone's like, no, what made me laugh was, it was absurd, but people were like, it just goes to show that Tina Fey really didn't have to work hard to do the impersonation. And honestly, the entire time she was talking, I was just picturing her as Tina Fey.
Last one. Just what I needed.
Will it go anywhere, the lawsuit? I don't know. I actually don't know.
Yeah,
it's so hard to judge It's so hard to judge in Texas.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell in Texas because it goes back and forth.
Well, if anything, my state must needs be punished for such cruelty. By any means.
Anyways, yeah, I'm not looking forward to the nature nurture debate because I'm like, okay, can we get off this wagon, please? I mean, I think it's pretty much been established that it's not one or the other; it's both.
It's a bit both.
But no, you have to pick. Oh yeah, I forgot. I stole a pen.
Oh, as part of your little thing. For me, I'm more nurture, because even with 50% nature on the other end, like, literally so much can happen.
That's what I am, because I know,
Because you
like...
can't... Because the nurture factor can be changed indefinitely, the nature factor can never be changed unless you're irradiated, so...
And it just raises the question about, I mean, see, it's not, it's not one or the other, because if you look at serial killers, for example, I mean, most serial killers had a terrible upbringing, okay? But then you have one of the most infamous, as in the BTK killer, and he was like this family man, he worked at his church, and you know, was raised well, was raised well, and yet, you know, he was this awful man who tortured, you know, many people. And I think
Well,
John
that's also
Wayne
another
Gacy...
thing, is like, some people also confuse abundance and, prosperity is generally good. Because, you know, sometimes you don't know the weight of something until, you don't have it. If you always have it, then yeah. For example, rich families are most likely to have, like, psychopathic children.
Oh, that does not surprise me at all.
By, like, a huge margin.
That
And
does not
the weird
surprise me
thing
at
is,
all.
psychopathy is normally relegated to Western society and most concentrated in the United States.
Yeah, I
It's something
mean,
that
there's a
doesn't
reason
belong
why
often in other places.
most
Which does mean
of
to imply it's a nurture rather than nature. With the exception of obvious, like, schizophrenia, but that's its own thing.
No,
Schizophrenia doesn't mean you're a murderer, schizophrenia just means you hear voices, sounds, or...
There goes the silent approach.
What was I gonna say? Oh no, I mean, a lot of the, I mean, if you think of, especially in the US, a lot of the more, I mean, even in Europe and all of that, like, a lot of the serial killers or a lot of the, you know, mass murders were white and mostly male. Give a take or few.
Now, granted, there's also a theory that, with women, they simply haven't been caught as much, or misreports.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
We're still gathering the numbers on that,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's the researcher's problem.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a psych major, fun times.
I thought you were gonna say, I remember when I was a psychopath. The good old days.
Days. The flesh, the blood, the art.
Oh, the state are aware.
The good old days.
Nice.
Running around at the speed of sound. The lamppost lamps.
Excellent.
No, I don't want to join your fate.
We need to retrieve that. Attack.
Oh, sorry for not talking about it as much. I kind of lost my voice.
Anyway, KOTOR. Same. KOTOR also got a blog post out. Okay, ready? Aspire Media, Lucasfilms, and Sony Interactive Entertainment are remaking the classic RPG from the ground up, from the modern age. A pinnacle of Star Wars Legends storytelling. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is set over 4,000 years before the events of the original trilogy, and introduced a new story of new heroes.
Okay, seriously, Kristen, shh, hold on for 1 second. I have a question.
Nice.
BioWare did the first KOTOR, right? Was it
BioWare did do the first KOTOR, yes.
Okay,
BioWare
alright.
did do the first one. They made the
for
requisite
pausing.
sequel. They did make the requisite sequel as well. I'm not sure why BioWare doesn't get to work on this one. It could be as simple as EA owns them. And probably EA said no.
You can work on it, but the ending has to be blocked by being paid DLC.
Cease. I will mail an HK-47 model to your house. Speaking of that, or HK lines.
Oh wait, anyway, unpause.
Oh, I got a call. I might need to take this. Let me see.
Okay, Nathan, answer your call.
No, if you're back.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Kristen. Sorry to interrupt. I thought it was BioWare.
Yeah, no, it was
And I
BioWare,
hope-
and they did
I
make the
hope
original,
that
and
I
they did
wasn't
make the
rude. I
less
didn't
than
mean
good
to be
sequel. But
rude.
I'm not actually. Now that I'm not sure why BioWare doesn't get to make this one. It really could just be as simple as,
Well, it could be timing too. You know, they might not have.
or
enough
they
time.
could just be busy. I mean, BioWare is making other stuff.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, they did the who is ever doing it now did the
Commando,
Commando.
Aspire, and Aspire has been responsible for multiple Star Wars. But
I
like I
have to
said,
say-
they also Aspire.
Uh-oh. Pengu.
Yeah.
Okay, I lost you there for a little bit. I lost you there. See, the thing is about it's the same thing that I think similar with Mass Effect. It's like they don't even have to do a lot of. If they like do like a full on, you know, but all they really gotta do is just remake, you know, enhance the graphics and all of that, and I'll be happy. But if they go above and beyond, which is what they did for whatever.
Anyway, I'm waiting for Nathan to come back
No,
because
that's
he's
fine.
ditching us.
But yeah, I haven't seen the clip yet.
It's just the KOTOR clip is literally just Revan turning on his lightsaber. And yet, that was all we needed to know its existence. At first, there was the little screen, the little title screen, but it's
But
just him
I am
turning on his
curious as
lightsaber,
to
and that set
why.
the fandom.
Are you kidding me? I missed.
Hey, back.
Wow, welcome back.
It was just my eye doctor.
Nathan, are you voting on can you vote? I don't know what
The
to
recall
vote in.
election?
I'm literally, after Nom's gonna look at that.
Because I don't know, like everyone is telling me about it,
I'm
and
not-
I don't. Cause, like, I mean, Mark
for some
Hamill's
reason,
tweeted about it,
some-
Obama's
wild.
tweeted about it, and I'm like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, for
They're
some
voting
reason,
to recall their governor.
Yeah,
For some
see,
reason.
okay. I'll explain the situation. It's weird as it sounds. For some reason, under like probably by explaining where I live, the Inland Empire and such, in like rural North California, they got just enough people, and I think by like literally just barely enough people to petition for a recall. And no one. And the reason they're trying to recall Gavin Newsom is he's too harsh on COVID rules, and we all are the anti-maskers and not do our vaccine.
Yeah, so it's
I really
basically
don't like
their
Playz.
one-side thingy.
So
Okay, because I mean, and the thing is,
And everyone
I
else with
haven't really
sensibility
been, because
is
I'm
going,
like, it has to do
"No."
with California, not me, so I'm not really that involved.
But technically, California is the most powerful of the states. So Shockwave's ways, it does actually.
Oh yeah, no, of
'Cause-
of course.
Because again, if we were like stolen power by the repos, then shit goes crazy.
It
Granted,
says,
here's the. What time do you want? Yes. What did you say you were making again? The last time.
it's just wild. They're angry that their state's doing though, and it's wild.
So Freddie?
You know, there were people
Start at
burning
4.
masks.
Oh yeah, but
Okay.
what was I? But sorry, I was talking about food. But yeah, basically everyone collectively is not voting to recall. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. It's wild.
And then,
That's what's
Yeah,
up.
but basically we're just trying to go like there's no, and then yeah, that's where we are. And also, here's the funny thing is, say if by some godly miracle they've actually did it, first off they had to do that, then in the same ballot they had to name a successor. And we don't even know any of these guys on the ballot. They're literally just guys who like showed up, really. So, second off, we're having re-elections in a year.
Yeah, I mean, even if they do get someone else in, it's next year anyway.
Yeah. So it wouldn't help. And in the last bit is essentially most of like the local government, with the exception of the rural areas in which they exploited hard enough to call for the recall, is demo. So or at least blue of some kind. So whatchamacallit, whatever the governor would be, they'd essentially just be stun locked by the collective everyone going, I'm not gonna listen to you, I don't care about you, so I won't. So, yeah.
It's wild. That's what's
We
going
will legit
on.
mute
It's wild.
just we're not gonna do anything you tell us to, because we don't like you and want nothing to do with you.
So that's the California recall election.
Yeah, because
I love it because Nathan explained it to me, and as soon as he's like, but it changes next year anyway, I was like, then what's the point?
The forest
What's the point?
Also, craft their alleys and go, Clay.
Anyway, back to my KOTOR thing. A pinnacle of Star Wars Legends storytelling, Star Wars Knights of the Republic set over 4,000 years before the events of the original trilogy. Because this is why KOTOR is great, because it could really do whatever it wanted, because it could
Yeah, it's 4,000
plot
years.
lines, because it's so early. Before the events of the original trilogy, it introduced a new story of new heroes and villains in an epic struggle for the fate of the galaxy. The team here at Aspire and Sony Interactive Entertainment have joined forces with Lucasfilm Games once more to bring you a remake of this classic Star Wars adventure. We're rebuilding one of the greatest RPGs of all time for a new generation with modern tech, features, visuals, and more, while maintaining the integrity of the story and characters that we've come to cherish. And it's a console exclusive on PlayStation 5 at launch, which means it's going to be that support launch again. If you're not familiar with KOTOR, as you'll see fans lovingly reference to it in that abbreviated form, then you're in for a treat. The original Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, was a truly groundbreaking achievement, an award-winning RPG of an incredible scope, immersion, and ambition, with an epic narrative to match. A diverse cast of characters to meet, multiple planets to discover, challenging battles to fight, and cinematic storytelling that responds to the choices you make. It's no wonder that to this day KOTOR remains one of the most celebrated video games ever made. Why remake Knights of the Old Republic? Well, nearly 20 years after it first debuted, the original KOTOR is still one of the most beloved games of all time. And even as Star Wars travels to new horizons, we know the community is eager as ever to return to this iconic era of storytelling and action. With Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, our hope is to give both series newcomers and long-term fans an experience that can live alongside the very best modern releases. We're rebuilding it from the ground up with the latest tech to match the groundbreaking standard of innovation established by the original, all while staying true to its revered story. Aspyr has assembled the very best talent from across the industry to recreate the remake, industry veterans who have worked on the greatest RPGs, as well as some members of the original Knights of the Old Republic development team. Their knowledge and passion for these characters, the story and world is unmatched. And just who is Aspyr? You probably know us as the studio for bringing multiple Star Wars games to modern systems, including Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Star Wars Republic Commando, and yes, the original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. We've been working closely with Lucasfilm and classic Star Wars games for years, and that experience has instilled in our team a deep love and respect for these timeless titles, as well as a unique perspective on how to carry them forward into the modern age. We're proud to be collaborating with Sony and Lucasfilm to bring this dream to life. So what's next? Star Wars Knights of the Republic remake is a tremendous undertaking, encompassing almost every aspect of the original game. We're still early in development, but we're happy to finally announce the game of the remake and hear what the PlayStation community's thoughts are and what you're excited to see. Whether you're new to KOTOR or one of the millions of fans who already know and love it, there's a great adventure ahead of us, and we can't wait to show you more soon. I just love it because, It really is. Even if you don't know what it is, I mean, it's such a great game, and everyone's gonna love it. It was so easy to fall in love with.
Kristen, now this question comes. Do I play the original first?
Well,
if
you want to experience the original graphics, yeah, I mean, you got plenty of time anyway, but,
Well, no, Nathan, I have it.
Oh, well, go ahead.
She has it, yeah. I mean, you may as well. I mean, it's just a remake. Coming out in the future.
Oh.
But you may as well, I mean, if you want to experience that original graphics that were groundbreaking at the time in 2003, I mean, it was groundbreaking. And I really did love it. So good. So
I
good.
know I killed myself! There was
So
no one by
good.
me.
I'm just happy to see it's finally getting love. And not only is it getting love, it's getting love from people who also love it. Good day, good stream.
I'm just so mad I slept through it.
It's
I wake
okay.
up and I'm like, KOTOR's been announced.
And then there was a flurry of other announcements.
Yeah.
It's funny because someone was angry there was no Final Fantasy 7R Part 2 or 16. It's like, this was a Sony stream, genius.
That wasn't the plan.
This was not a Square Enix stream. This was a Sony stream.
There
They were
are
showing
other
what
games.
they have to me.
There are
Square
other
Enix
games
was at the
besides-
stream because they did do Forspoken, and that is a Square Enix game. But if Square wants to talk about those, they'll do them at their own respective streams.
Oh, I forgot we had to deal with Illinois problems in 5.1.
So, do you want to hear about my adventures at the dentist?
Yeah, actually I do. Help me out.
Yeah, what did you have done?
So, let me give you the background.
Yeah, we need the background.
I
You ate way too many
had
lollipops.
really bad teeth.
You did, you fool!
Well, and the thing is, I did brush, but, you know, it's just, Mom says we have genetically bad teeth, or whatever, okay? I
Brush
believe
harder.
it. That's what I'm going with, okay? It's not my fault.
I'm
Anyway.
genetically predisposed to diabetes, yet here I am.
So, so...
I'm pretty sure diabetes in me. I'm here I am.
That really threw me off. I had 3 player kills, so I'm happy. That really threw me off, Nathan.
Also, if I
And so then,
celebration.
so let us go back to whenever Prince died, okay? That day. Mostly for time-wise. This was the first day that I saw the dentist. Not the first time I've ever seen the dentist, okay? Don't worry. And they were like, yeah, you need a root canal. And I was like, okay. So I got my first root canal soon after Prince died. That's how I know how long Prince has been dead. It's because I was like, hey, that's when I got my first root canal. Anyway.
Don't remind me that he's dead, okay?
Flash for... Was he a good prince?
Or a bad prince? Was he a good prince? We're talking about the singer.
Anywho, anyway, so then when I was 18, I had another tooth, and this dentist was like, oh, well, it's not covered by insurance, so you're gonna have to pay it up front. I was like, I can't afford that. And so they pulled the tooth.
I can't afford that.
Lo and behold, I go to another dentist a while back, and they were like, what? No, you're covered until 21. And I was like, say what now? And so then they were like, yeah, you're covered till 21. So I had to get like 3 root canals done. Alright.
Yikes.
And it was not fun. But only like 2 of them were like really bad where I had to see a specialist. But then recently I had to I had to get another root canal done, and they were like, okay, this one I had to pay out of pocket. And so then they were like, okay, well, you're gonna want a crown on that. And I was like, I don't have $800 for a crown, because it's going to cost $850. But at least at this dentist, I only need half up front.
The most expensive piece of molten steel you'll ever see.
And only half of it up front, and then half of it 3 weeks later. Anyway, so that's going too far. Anyway, so I was like, yeah, okay, I will get it, you know, yeah. And so then I saw them 6 months ago for my regular cleaning, and they're like, yeah, okay, you gotta get a crown on that thing. And I was like, I know, okay, shut up. So then I meant to go this summer, but it just, like, got away from me. And so then, I chipped it, because there was a piece of it, and I was, like, fiddling with it, and I was like, that's gonna come off. And so then I took it off, and then I called, and I was like, yeah, I have a chipped tooth. And this was, like, 2 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, the earliest we can see you is, September 9th.
So
and I was like, fine, I'll take it. Well, actually, no, I was like, no, that's going into class. Okay, so September 14th, okay, I'll take it. 5 minutes later, actually, can I switch my appointment back? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so I went today, and they're like, my appointment was at 8:30, and I got there early, so I got in early, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get out early. No. So anyway, I'm sitting there like, yeah, the dentist will be with you shortly, and so then I saw the dentist, and he was like, yeah, you're gonna we'll fill that, but you're gonna want a crown on it, and I was like, thank you very much. Because I knew I was going to need a crown on it anyway, and so then they were like, okay, here you go, we can do it today. And so then they shipped me off to another room, and the dentist was like, hi, how are you, ma'am? And I was like, I'm not that young. Anywho, so then he's like, okay, so we can fill this, but you're going to want a crown. Okay, thank you. And so then he's like, alright, let me numb it up for you. Even though, because I've had a root canal done, so the tooth itself won't hurt because there's no nerve there. But the gum line was like super inflamed, and not infected, but just inflamed, and it was like they had to like move my gum a little. I don't actually know what they did, but they moved my gum because it was like really where my gum was. So now I'm missing an entire. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm not missing gum. Anyway, so they move it, But they did it, and so they're like, okay, first we're going to put this like thingy on the tooth. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. And they put a thingy on my tooth, and it really hurt. And so then I cringed, and he was like, let me put some more let me numb you up a little bit more. And the thing is, I honestly don't think he used the Novocaine, because I have no holes as to where the needle went. My mouth wasn't numb, you know.
He was
And
just
I
like, oh, they're
felt-
just being a baby about the pain. And it's like, no, really, actually.
And afterwards, because they had to do that twice. They had to numb me up twice, and I honestly don't think they numbed me up at all, because I felt the entire thing. But I was on a time crunch, and I was like, okay, Cynthia, you can do it. You can do it. Because this isn't the first time that the numbing just hasn't worked. I had a root canal done where I felt the entire thing. That was an awful experience. And
Well,
I
you
was
love
like,
the repeat, right?
and I was just like, Cynthia, you are brave, you are brave, you are brave. Ow, 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 ow. You are brave, you are brave. And he was like, how are you doing? And I'm like, fine.
Painfully.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. But I felt the entire thing. And afterwards, I'm like, there's no way you numbed me up. No way. None. Because there's no holes. Because, you know, they inject you with the Novocaine. Okay? And they did not inject me. And I'm like, what did you do? Excuse me, sir. Okay, I'm brave, but I don't want to be brave.
I don't want to be.
But I was like, I just want, because I had to, because it mostly hurt because my gum was infected, or not infected, but inflamed. And so that was really why I was hurting. And so then they like were poking it, and then it started to bleed, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll wait until it starts bleeding. And I was like, okay. And then it like never stopped bleeding for a little while. And I was like, what the heck? I want to go.
There is no escape.
I want to go home.
And so then they're like, but you really should get a crown. And I was like, thank you for telling me about the 4th or 5th time I need a crown.
Oh, do I look like I got money?
And so then I was like, yeah, I'll set up the appointment. And so then I go to the receptionist, and I was like, I like to set up an appointment for a crown. And she goes, okay, alright, so, you know, that'll be out of pocket. They told you about that, right? And I was like, actually, no, the dentist didn't really say anything. And he was super young, so I was like, is he a dentist?
Is he really on?
Okay, so does
Maybe it
afternoons
was like his
work
second
with you?
day.
It's like, no, can we do mornings? Okay, so the earliest I can get you in is October 21st. And I was like, are you kidding me?
That's the earliest?
So yeah, but that was so I'm like, so I might change it because I have to deal with class. I can't do it. I can't miss another Soch class or another Tuesday, Thursday class. I can't.
So, the great thing about sociology is...
So yeah, I'm probably gonna be like, okay, because right now, one of my molars is 80% filling, and he's like, the dentist was like, if this breaks, you're probably going to have to see a specialist. And I was like, no, don't say that.
Just be careful, nerd.
I know. Thank you, Kristen. Because I purposely wanted to chip my tooth.
Yeah, I know you. I know
Obviously,
you.
just
I know you did it
conspiracy.
intentionally. I know you. You're like, how to make pain.
Yes. And they're like, are you in pain? I was like, oh, no. And they're like, oh, that's good. And I was like, yes, that's good. Because I hate tooth pain. I mean, I hate pain in general, but I hate tooth pain. Because there's really nothing you can do for it.
Except get new teeth.
Yeah, except that. So then I'm
Become another person.
I took loans out yesterday. I have... I could really I could really use winning the lottery right now. Okay? I really could. But you know what? You know what you have to do first to win the lottery is you have to actually buy a lottery ticket.
You have to buy a ticket.
So, no,
Then
while we were looking for a gaming chair,
You sell your soul to Pazuzu,
we
our Lord and Savior.
we went to Staples. We got the chair from Staples. Did you know Staples sells gaming chairs? Because they do.
I do now.
Wait, was Staples the one where they were selling the $20 water? I think that was Staples. Anyway,
Sounds
yes,
about
Kristen, did you
Staples.
like the $20 water?
I can't imagine why it's $20, but yes.
Yeah, 20. Nathan, I don't know if you know this, but they're at Staples or somewhere. They were selling bottled water. I want to say, you know, like it's a regular size
They
water.
were selling bottled water for $20.
They were selling a 24-pack for $20, and it had the Mando. It had Disney princesses.
It had nothing really indicating it made it special in any way, other than it's water.
No, see, I do not get, because at Quick Trip we sell about 20 different types of bottled water, and I don't understand it, because really, you can get a fountain cup, full of water for free.
Well, you see, it's watery water. Different than normal water.
I don't understand bottled water, because like for some of them, because there's Pedialyte, I don't know if you know what that is, but that's like specifically for if you're dehydrated. It gives you, it's sort of like, I don't think it's like Powerade, but you know, if that's what you think of it, you know, it's like, it's, you're not supposed to drink it if you just want water. You're supposed to drink it. I have actually had Pedialyte because I was super dehydrated once, and I was like, I'm gonna pass out. Keep water in my system. But other than that, it's like, I'm like, just buy a water bottle for cheaper. And the thing is,
Yeah, you may as well just get...
no, I mean, I love Quick Trip, don't get me wrong, I love Quick Trip, but it is a convenience store, so everything is super, like, you know, ibuprofen or whatever, chapstick is so expensive, and yet people buy it. No, the, like, 20-ounce pop bottle, I don't even think it's 20 ounces. The regular pop bottles are almost $3.
What is this pop bottle you speak of?
And I'm like, what the heck? Why would somebody pay this? And yet people do. I'm like, guys. Or like when they're buying like ibuprofen, I'm like, you can get a bottle of this for about the same price at Coborn's. But I'm an employee of Quick Trip, so I'm like, yay, way to go. You must
have your loyalty. Traitor.
But yeah, it's just so funny. Anyway, what was I talking about? Dentist.
How they're the best, in that our healthcare system is superior to all other healthcare systems.
Yep, and so, apparently there's another tooth that needs a crown, and I was like, I don't think so, but whatever. I like this dentist.
So, this one high, and to left field.
What was that?
That was a home run.
What's that?
Okay.
What is this sport you speak of?
I don't really get why I needed to hear that that home run, but okay, thank you.
Also, another thing. Him.
Well, guess what? Times have changed.
There we go. We're good. I'm just saying though, boss with a lightsaber, we need it. In the next season of the Bad Batch, boss gets a freaking lightsaber.
Did you say boss?
Boss, as in
boss,
you know.
as in the commando boss.
Let me keep when they do that. And now it's mine. Fear me, world, I have a minigun. Current breach, current breach. Get off me!
Oh wow, it's taking forever.
As it should.
I just can't believe I slept through the entire thing.
I mean, don't we all? So, in order to fill in your knowledge of sociology, we'll now be talking about conflict.
We're actually talking about conflict theory, I think, in a couple weeks.
Alright, it's my baby.
No, it's just really weird because for psychology you focus really on the individual, and then for sociology,
Sociology
you
is
don't.
the opposite. It's like, alright, but this is how the world is psychologically manipulating you. Now, granted, you can go into psychological soc on the micro level. You want?
Well, and
Is
you
that
can
you-
talk about and there's social psychology too. It's just like you know. No, but we read this article about just overall sociology because this is an intro.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Wow, this article was super hard to understand." And even my professor was like, we talked about it, and he goes, "Wow, guys, I'm just super impressed by the level of this discussion. This was a hard article." It's like,
And
I
I
actually
think
thought
you're
it
like,
was
what?
pretty
This was
easy.
hard? This
Like,
was hard?
very self-explanatory? And they're like, yeah, I really didn't understand. Did we read the same thing? But I think it's mostly just because I have read more of these articles. But yeah, it's just really
Also,
fun.
you're in an intro class, so there's that.
Yeah, true. No, because then we were talking about like why we're taking this class or whatever. And so
Money.
yeah, I actually know nothing about sociology, but I really like it, so I changed my minor to sociology, and I was like, wow, that is so cool, so cool. And I was like, I'm a psych major, and the only reason I'm here is because I have a sister and a friend. Nathan, I talked about you. I was like, I have a sister who majored in it and another friend who is in it. And I was like, so I'm not completely new to sociology. But yeah,
I would teach you, young Padawan, all our ways.
oh, it's just
This
so
is how
weird.
we mind control our enemies.
It was just so weird to think not of the individual.
Because again, that's what Soc trips you out on, and sometimes we actually kind of fight. And we're like, Psych is like, man, if they would have done this if only, like, the parents hadn't taken care of them or something like
No,
that. For, like, what is that? And it's like, yeah, but they would have also gotten paid, or done that if they had, like, gotten paid for their works and jobs and weren't disgruntled workers the whole time. Like,
No, I
also
watched a
fair point.
video, a clip of this one at this one school where the teachers came together because the head janitor didn't have a working car, and so then the teachers got together and bought him a car, which was super awesome. But then everyone, wait, where is I going with this?
I'm not sure.
Sociology.
Where was I going with this? Somebody's name is John Wick. I actually can't remember what I was going on with. So there was another thing I wanted to mention. Gosh darn it! Now I've distracted myself.
From your own subject.
Let's see here. Okay, so it was individuality. Oh, for Pete's sake, why is he right there? Yeah, no, I really can't remember. I just flashed myself.
Flash me out.
I'm actually really disappointed with myself because this was really good. So
You have disappointed me for the last time.
Sociology.
0 enemy targets in sight. Meanwhile, me mowing down the enemy in machine gun. Yes, 0.
I can put this to good use.
I'm gonna rescue my teammate. Never mind, I'm gonna die. I died trying to rescue my teammate who died right ahead of me, but whatever.
I mean, you know, don't we all just die trying what we love? Unless you're depressed.
Did you know that cooking food is way better for you than eating food raw? We get more
Generally,
calories.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
that's why that's why we cook.
Okay, seriously, Nathan? Alright, you can't be the only one who brings knowledge into this group.
I'll be really focused into one subject. You have to choose the one subject. That's outside of sociology.
Me down.
No, no, we watched a video.
Are y'all fighting over knowledge?
Yes, because it is power.
You can't bring the knowledge. That's my job.
That is such a
Well,
nerd
Fingu,
thing
what
to
is your
say.
knowledge about the subjects of
right.
sociology and psychology?
Oh no,
You
I remember what I
can't-
was going to say. I was
You
it was
can't
about
steal
psych
my
and
knowledge.
It was about psych and social. So a few years ago, so we have a new building. Well, new-ish from a few years ago, and it's our science building. Okay, we have a new science building, and
God,
apparently,
whoever would trust science.
apparently, wait, actually, no, two things. Okay, Nathan, I actually didn't know this. So you know the STEM program, right?
Yeah. Science and math. Engineering.
Did you know that the science isn't just natural science?
technology, engineering.
Social sciences are part of that too. I actually
Yeah,
didn't know
well,
that.
we're trying to eke our way into STEM. Some people are saying you shouldn't be STEM, some people are saying you
I
should.
actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
No.
it's a whole...
I mean, I personally believe it should be, but whatever. Anyway, anywho, so the science building. So, Kristen, I don't know if you know, but there's an actual debate as to whether or not psychology and sociology are sciences. Obviously one is, but one might not.
And it's obviously psychology.
No.
Freud will get no sympathy from me.
But apparently there's still debate, because there's debate on campus as to whether or not sociology and psychology would actually fit in with the group, fit in with the building, and I was like, how could even professors not know that psychology and sociology are sciences? Are you kidding me? We're still having this discussion? Anyway, yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's what
We
I
ain't got
wanted to say.
time to bleed! Sev, no!
Okay, yeah, but seriously, Nathan, we have to, like, establish who's bringing the knowledge, okay? We're gonna need, like, a pie chart, you know, like, this is what, a Venn
This
diagram.
is your knowledge. This is the knowledge I can bring.
A Venn diagram.
I'm working on it.
What people? I died
Sorry,
again.
Sev.
I can bring this amount of knowledge, but you can't. You dare do that one.
So, what kind of knowledge is Pingu bringing?
Street
thank you.
smarts. That's what I'm doing. The knowledge I learn on the streets of.
The streets of Minnesota.
Yeah, you know it. You know it, baby.
The most dangerous location on all Earth.
See, the thing
My
is,
knowledge
if you
will
had
be
said
whatever Twitter
Minneapolis,
feels
'cause
like telling me
Minneapolis
about.
is actually really bad. Except not where I am. Mostly because I hang
Never
out
say no to
in my
back then.
dorm. And do nothing really. Because like I'm boring. Did you see the core question that I posted? I think it was yesterday. The question was, oh snap. Can
The effect.
psychopaths and sociopaths fall in love? Do you not know what a psychopath is?
No. I mean, in your fan fiction about why psychopaths are just really misunderstood, and that like they, you know,
Sociopaths
like if I wanted to kill people,
might
I
be
should
able
be
to,
able to for fun.
but I'm like, do you not know what a psychopath is?
Well, obviously they're asking the question.
No. No. But then there was this once, who called himself, somebody answered who called himself a sociopath, and it was like, yeah, I love my partner and all that. We don't always,
Lies
she's way
detected.
more empathetic. She's way more empathetic than I am, but you know. I said empathetic, yeah I did.
There goes the...
I was shot.
Empathy, schmimpathy.
Yeah, who needs empathy? Gets you nowhere in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about my business. Alright, Sev, protect me.
Did they give a release date to KTOR?
No, they did not give a release date to KOTOR. Just that it's working. It's in
Did
the
I
works.
say
It's gonna take a while
KTOR?
to Yeah, you did. It's gonna take a while to make a game from the ground up, especially one as big as
Especially considering
KOTOR.
these guys care about it.
And they want to take their time, but it's in development, and that's kind of all we need out of it. But it's a massive game, and it was massive. You got to go to so many worlds and stuff.
I actually never played it. I really
I've
should
never
play it.
owned
I've
it, but
played it. Oh, I want to say I want to play
David,
it. I
do
played
you
it
have
at
a
least
PC?
fully. I want to say
I have a PC now, so
Because you
yeah.
can
I've
get
played
it for
it fully
'cause
at
there is a
least. I want to
PC
say I beat
version.
KOTOR at least. I beat KOTOR at least 3 times.
Okay, ma'am.
I beat it on the original Xbox at least
Okay,
twice.
okay, ma'am.
And then I got to play it on my tablet once. So yeah. I beat KOTOR at
moving
least
around.
3 times.
Get
It's
some
fun
backup.
to play. It's a really fun game.
Well, yeah.
Because, like they said, your choices matter.
Yeah.
You can be the good, or you
That's
can be the
what
bad.
I'm actually really surprised
You
that
can be a good
BioWare's
guy,
not
or you can be a
doing
bad
it.
guy. You can be the Jedi, or you can be the Sith. In all
And
your
they
actions,
both
and
work
it's really
within the
fun.
plot because you
And they
literally
both
are
fit,
both.
and they both make sense, and they both fit, and it's really fun. It's a really fun game.
Should I just stop playing whatever I'm playing now and just play KOTOR?
No, that's okay. You got a backlog to go.
I mean, the thing is, it's even a part of my backlog. See, I really want Berserk. I really do.
Backlog, Sinky.
But backlog! I really want Berserk though.
Backlog.
Oh, for Pete's sake, that was awful.
You think, advisor. You think the squad has been
So
eliminated.
I had to write the date a couple times for my shrink appointment because I had to sign a waiver saying that I know. Well, I had to sign a waiver saying that I have no symptoms, and then I had to sign a waiver saying that I know the dangers of having in-person appointments. So I had to sign that, and every time I had to do the date, and I was like, "What's the date again?" Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
God,
it's the day
yeah.
before my birthday.
Yeah,
No, I have to do
tomorrow
this
is a
one.
national
I have
holiday
to
for
do
the
this all.
MooMooHippo Nation. Nathan, tomorrow is Sinky's birthday, and I will remind us all tomorrow. It's Sinky's birthday.
It's time.
You die
And
closer
then
every day.
A day later, I will also at everyone in the morning about that.
And then Saturday comes. I've already started to see things about 9/11.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of interviews of just different.
So this is why we need to have more Reese's policies. No,
It's it's.
See, I just really
years.
hope. I
It's
really
20
hope.
years.
Because, yeah, there
It's
was,
gonna
like,
be
a lot of
20
things
years.
that have, like, I'm also, like, very, like, I am sad for tomorrow because not only of the numerous deaths that came from it, but also, we got into the Middle East. Well, we didn't get into the Middle East. We got into Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever. But there also, I mean, the rise of it, the fear of Islams. Islamophobia. You know, the fear of Muslims skyrocketed. And that's what also hurts me too, you know? So I'm like, it's not just the sadness, and then we have the people who are like, it's fake, because he knew it all along. And I was like, guys, stop, okay? Can we just mourn the death of...
Can we just focus on Can we just focus on the fact that it's been 20 years since a tragedy, and that's all that matters at this moment.
Nini, impossible.
Well,
okay, we can actually talk about it because I am the generation of Gen Zers who was born afterwards.
Yeah, I was born during
so,
it, but don't remember quite as much. But I remember
I
all
was
the
3, and I don't know.
I am part of the generation of people that were born after, because I was born in 2002.
No, I mean, it's
and
really...
so someone actually did an interview, an article. I'm going to put it in the chat on Saturday, I think. I'm going to put some of them. Someone did an interview with various, 19 and younger year olds, because we grew up in the aftermath of this, and we only know about it whether it's through people's first accounts telling us, or learning that someone found out that their grandmother had been
I saw that.
paramedic who had responded, or whether we just had to be physically told about it because we didn't have a connection. Not all of us have had a connection. It's something you kind of just have to go, this is what happened on this day, and we will never have, that first account of it if... It was just, obviously, they're curious how we would, how we grew up with all of that, and how we remember it, because to us, it really is just history.
I think this is similar...
didn't affect us personally.
It's similar to, school shootings, too, because all of us,
we kind of grow up in the wake of these things, and so, it kind of goes, well, how do you know it?
Post-Columbine. So I think it's very similar.
I just realize something. Doing the math of something in my head and stuff. Again, they're interviewing people 19 below about the whole,
that's
they've only seen it
the
from
age now,
secondhand. You could join the military defending the war started by that conflict for something you were never around for.
Yeah.
Even born.
Some people actually enlisted because they found out, their relative, had died, and that's why some of them do enlist. They, even if I didn't know them, I want to do this for them, even if I wasn't there.
Well, and see, the thing is, not only was it tragic, the event, but just the even the time after the aftermath, the amount of hatred, but also
war and death.
The air quality was bad for 90 days. 90 days. There was the aftermath, whatever, from the buildings going down.
Not in California, this is usual.
Well, yeah, I know, I'm just, numerous, there have been so many, people who've died just from the aftermath, It really makes me sad. No, it was just kind of not funny, but when this happened last year, because this was post George Floyd, and so everyone was well, I don't want to say anti-police, but anti-police. But then there was just a day where everyone was like, okay, hold up, pause the anti-police. We just want to thank everyone who was a part of who was a part of the rescue team.
If you were a part of the efforts. Actually, I have a book. Where is it? It's probably on my shelf behind all of my stuff. It was 10 True Survivors Tales. You know, it was one of those 10 true stories.
like, thing
10 True Stories, right? It's one of those, and I have a few of them, actually. But one of them had been recounting 10 different people with a special 11th story that was actually makes me cry no matter how many times I read it. 10 people, and their response, they all surrounded the response to 9/11, whether they got people that responded to the World Trade Center itself and the Pentagon. They got people on both, on all of it. And I said there's a special 11th story that makes me cry, because it does. Because, Sinky, do you remember the number of the flight that crashed in the
91
field?
United 93.
Yeah, they, in the book, they put together a rough recount of what we think happened on the flight before it crashed. And it makes me cry every time, because it's what we think happened. We will never know, because
black box is more as
everyone
high-tech back then.
died on the flight as they went into the field. But it makes me cry every time I read it, because I'm like, nope, I can't do it. Because it was written with this, you know, the tales of what we heard on the phones and what we think happened.
That's what always gets me. I'm already starting to tear up. It's not so much like the act itself, but it's because this is the time where where people like share the 911 calls, because those are public, and the calls, you know, as soon as the tower collapsed, there's a report, there's somebody on 911 before as it's falling, and it's just you know, there's calls.
It gets you, and if it doesn't get you, there's something wrong. It should get you.
There's
I don't know if you saw this article the other day, Sinky. There was a photographer, journalist. He takes photos, you know, he writes about it. He responded to 9/11 because he had been in New York, and so he had been one of the people taking photos. But he didn't just cover 9/11. He ended up covering the entire war, because he went with the troops to Afghanistan. Because he was like, I need to cover this. I need to do this, because he felt like that was something he needed to do. And so I was actually looking at some of the photos, and I was like, I'm gonna cry now, bye.
It is so, like, it's one of those things where 9/11 is just, I'm not a very emotional person, and sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, is something wrong with me? And then this happens, and I hear
and then you get to these moments like these.
The calls from 911 saying, hey, okay, wife, I love you, I probably won't see you again, so, you know. And it's just calls like that, and I'm like, stop.
No, actually, interesting bit of news. My dad's dad, whatchamacallit, he was actually, since he was, you know, an army commander, he was in the Pentagon that day. Granted, though, don't feel too bad, he was kind of a piece of poo-poo, but, and he lived, so.
I mean, it's, you can't help but, you know, cry a little bit on the inside.
Or on the outside.
Or on the outside. We can be full starting tears if that's what you want. I'm gonna try to find that book in a moment.
This year, the New York Yankees and New York Mets are playing each other.
Oh my goodness,
They've never done such things.
Ha.
Because,
It's the Battle of New York.
Because in 2001, 10 days after the 9/11, they played in Shea Stadium, the New York Mets. And they were, I think it was the Atlanta Braves they were playing against. The New York Mets were playing against. And they were really big-time rivals. And yet, for just this game, they came together. It's sort of like what happened after the Boston bombing, too.
You kind of, rivalries aside, you come together.
Yeah, and it was just really beautiful, and...
You just come together for a moment and go, rivalries aside.
Because, you know, it's more than...
Rivalry don't mean anything right now. I mean, it's more than that right now.
Blood feuds, blood feuds.
But yeah, I mean, not only, like, is the act itself, like, I mean, just so... But it's just what happens afterward as well. It's, like, living in 2021, we
Yeah.
can see...
Like, with the foresight and everything. But the
Yeah.
vindication that came afterwards,
Yeah.
and the brutal tactics and oppression.
And
Like,
the
you can now
hatred
see
towards
why they hate us so much,
Yeah,
but
the
still.
hatred towards the Muslim population is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Ugh, why can't droids be blinded when hit by flashbangs? Like they don't have eyes or something.
And then it's also really sad to think of, you know, how there are people who don't know, there are people who don't know 9/11 and all of
Or
that.
fighting for a war they've never even
Yeah.
lived to see.
I mean, and of course it was bound to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And then you think about...
How many super battle droids is too many super battle droids?
Because last year, people, when COVID was really, I mean, it's bad now, but then people were like, okay, we care about the 9/11, those who died, but then COVID is like 20 times worse than 9/11. It's like,
Oh
you
god,
know,
in terms of
300
casualties, yeah.
300 times, you know, 9/11 happening 300
People who
times. And I
died.
was like, stop!
Well, that's another thing that like shows you the priorities of like in power. Like I'll show you this. Like you'll see this stuff in Soch. Disaster shows who a society prioritizes and hates very quickly. And most people say like disasters are the great equalizer of man. Everyone is killed equally. That is a complete and utter lie. Like if you live in a super secret bunker with 4 months of food, you're doing better than the poor guy in in between the alleyways who's floating on a piece of driftwood. So, in a hurricane. Katrina being one of the greatest showings of sociological failings. But another thing is, like, again, like, the plague has killed 300 times more, but that gets way less clout than the justification for the war, which is 9/11.
Yeah.
Which has killed 300 times less.
No, because,
So it's like, that's that thing, like...
The recent hurricane was way... I think, Kristen, you were talking about how it was way worse than Katrina.
I was just
But-
in
It
the
was way
hurricane.
worse.
But,
It was way, way worse.
And then I said there were other problems with Katrina that weren't
There
a
were
result
also
of-
other problems that happened to Katrina.
Many more
found
issues
it.
with Katrina.
Found my book.
9/11 might
I
have
had to
like
dig it out, but I
saved.
found it.
I mean, it was really good for his. I mean, I hate to say it, but Bush, like his approval rating after 9/11 skyrocketed,
Oh, yeah,
and then it
no.
really like the Katrina ruined his presidency. Like his. I mean, it's one of the reasons why a Democratic president won.
Complete failing.
Because
yeah.
it was just an utter failing of Katrina.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And again, there was a huge bias in how and who it failed. Like, the casinos were built within 4 weeks, and the towns are still broken to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I found my book. It took me a minute to dig it out, but I found it. It was 10 True Tales, Heroes of 9/11. And I was digging it out so I could look at the back. It was written after the Pentagon section. And it has a map on the page next to it. It has a map of where they left, where the plane crashed, and what we think was the target, because we also don't know what they were trying to hit.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with interrogating suicide bombers is,
We didn't know what they were hitting. We just assumed, it was probably
Target.
the White House. But it says United Flight 93. No one will ever know exactly what happened on doomed United Flight 93 after 4 terrorists hijacked the jetliner on the morning of September 11th. What is known is that the hijackers failed in their suicide mission to wreak death and destruction in our nation's capital. They failed solely
mission,
because of the
whatever it
courageous
was.
passengers and crew rose up against them in a spontaneous rebellion that ended when the plane crashed in a field, killing all on board. Based on the findings in the 9/11 Commission report, transcripts of the cockpit voice recorder, and radio transmissions and published interviews with family and friends of passengers who made last-minute calls from the plane, here's the incredible story of these heroic passengers. And they titled it "Okay, Let's Roll." And it makes me cry every time. Every time. Every time. It makes me cry every time.
Emotions left me long ago.
I'll probably watch a video of, you know, the first plane hitting, and then the report saying, "Oh my goodness, a plane hit," and then, "Oh my goodness." I mean, because it was real
My family's been
time.
involved in so much bloodletting in that I might skip the occasional necessities.
Yeah, there was just, I mean, it was a real
We
time.
just acknowledge
and
that
you could hear,
it was.
You hear
It was
that
terrible.
everyone's.
It's funny because at the start of the book, the acknowledgement was, "I wish to thank the first responders featured in this book for the willingness to live in personal interviews with me, with the dramatic and sometimes emotional memories of their heroic exploits." And it was just dedicated to anyone who, you know.
Well, I mean, even
Had to handle that,
the dogs too, the search and rescue dogs. I mean, it
So
was
the
really.
authors
I mean, it
Oh,
wasn't.
dogs are just precious, but
No,
The authors knew.
the dogs. There were so many dead bodies, and they were getting so depressed that the whatever, the handlers had to pretend to be bodies, and so the dogs could be like, "Oh my goodness, we found alive, you know, people who are alive," and that's just, you know, to know even that dogs were.
Sorry, I have to share in depression now. The author's note. The first responders on September 11th, 2001, firefighters, police officers, emergency medical personnel, technicians, and paramedics, as well as military officers and even as many civilians, risked their lives to save people they didn't know. Every one of them is a hero. I wish I could write about all of their personal stories of valor, honor, and sacrifice. Instead, I have written 10 stories that reflect the countless breathtaking acts of heroism that occurred inside the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a hijacked plane. For this book, I read hundreds of news accounts and transcripts of radio transmissions, phone messages, emails, and oral history of rescuers. Selecting a representative sample of these courageous people, I conducted personal lengthy interviews and asked each to relive their heart-stopping moments when they risked their lives to save others. Some found it easy to recall their experiences. Some found it difficult and emotional because one or more of their comrades had been killed. All persons profiled in this book share a common trait: humility. None viewed themselves as heroes. Some said they were just doing the job they were trained to do, while others said they were just doing the right thing. All said that the real heroes were the brave first responders who sacrificed their lives in their valiant attempts to rescue others, the courageous everyday citizens who died trying to save co-workers, and the passengers and the crew of a hijacked plane who thwarted the deadly mission of the terrorists on board. As paramedic Charles Serica told me, all the real heroes died that day. The rest of us just did what we could. By their actions, the heroes of 9/11 gave us a window into the human heart, because they were committed to the service of their fellow man. They were willing to face death and take multiple chances in their single-minded goal of saving others. The triumphs of these brave heroes should be recognized not only by those whose lives were spared, but by all of us. Their examples can offer us motivation to become the heroes of our own life story, of doing what's right no matter the risk. Each of us possesses an inner strength that is often left untouched, but it's ready to be tapped if we're so choose when we face a family crisis, an extraordinary circumstance, a perilous situation, a moral dilemma. That's how heroes are made. The heroes of 9/11 mind their personal inner strengths. When you read the gripping accounts of their gutsy actions, you see that they displayed an intense boldness that spurred them to reach far beyond their personal limits. Their stories are written as factual and truthful version of their recollection, although some of the dialogue has been recreated.
Oh, we lost.
This book is a salute to those who put their lives on the line every day, firefighters, police officers, and members of our armed force, as well as to those who were called on by fate to risk everything for a greater good. And so it was 1, 2, 5? I want to say it was 5. No, it was 6 stories on World Trade Center. Then it was 3 on the Pentagon and on the United Flight 93. Good book, but it makes me cry. Every dang time. But you said dog, Sinky. You know the one dog who died in 9/11, right?
Yep.
his story was covered in this book, and I cried. I'm just a big cry mood. Because only one dog died that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd have been because he had been left behind, because he was meant to sniff bombs and not anything else.
Yeah. No, I kind of hate it when, like, for not, like, civilian purposes, but for, like, war, we use dogs. Because, like, you know, it's a human conflict. Leave animals who just want to love and cuddle out of this. Like, it's
I'm
kind of that
already
one
crying.
time they tried to, like, strap mines on the dolphins, but the dolphins were like, dude, I'll die. Why would I agree to this? So they just ate them off and ran away. I was like, fair. You go, dolphins. You go.
So
So,
yeah, that's the thing.
Also, the way they treat dogs in the military is like property, and I hate that, because no. So,
It's a bit more complicated, but
I
yes.
disapprove of pupper abuse in any form, because puppers are adorable.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's the thing.
For movie farming, that's kind of what they were made
Sorry,
for.
I had to add to my depression. I dragged out this book, okay?
Well, it is a big book.
Actually, I want to see when he read it. When did he write
Not
it?
technically a big book, but you know what I mean.
Ah, of course.
The hardback.
See, you want to know when he wrote it?
What?
2011, of course.
Oh, of course.
Ah.
Of course he wrote it on 2011.
So that was the 10th.
Oh, it would have been the 10-year anniversary, yeah. Of course he wrote it then. I'm gonna put that right there. But of course. "20 years.
Insane.
I've added to Sinky's sadness. We need something happy. So you know what it's time for?
What?
Good News Network, of course!
Also, I
Good
never got to
news.
talk about my animal fact, and it's about hippos. You
Hang
wanna
on
know
to your
my-
hippo facts. Hang on to your hippo
Nathan.
I have to go for noms.
No, Nathan, tell me. Go ahead.
Alright, so, you know how orcas and dolphins evolved?
Yeah.
Basically, you know, the whole island was flooding, so some of them went to the fang. Well, the other half of their proto-species went up the mountain, and then when the, you know, flooding stopped, they just kind of went around the world. The closest land relative of orcas and dolphins, even though they're technically both dolphins, is the hippo. The more you know.
Really?
Yep. So, the murder land machine is related to the murder sea machines. And, yeah, it makes total sense now, but still.
Shit. They know.
So, yeah, dolphins' closest land relative is the freaking hippo.
It's the sea cow. No, not the water cow. I can't remember.
Well, I think the water cow's a manatee.
Yeah, no. I think you're right.
Hippos are just deaf. That's what it is. But
They really
anyways,
wanted me to
He's not
hippo.
even wrong.
They
I go for
really wanted
normal
me to
noms.
hippo.
Okay, go get your noms.
The souls, they will taste delicious.
Mm-hmm. Why?
So depressing.
So I'm just gonna say I already knew that fact by Nathan. So.
We'll just pretend that we didn't.
Yeah, I know.
Just what I needed.
I heard. I did not know that. Yeah, definitely. Depressing.
Now I'm sad.
Sorry, I thought it was important in the moment. Now I regret it 'cause I'm also sad. I was tearing up. Okay, reading the author's note.
I was tearing up too. And the thing
I
is,
was
it's not
tearing
even the
up. I
day
was
yet.
like, no,
Oh.
Pangu, you started us down this path. You must finish it. I'll probably read it again and cry.
Like, I'll probably watch all the videos that are shown on 9/11 and then cry some more.
The thing that makes me sad about the book, I mean, obviously all of it, but it's that last story that always gets me, the United Flight 93.
And it's just really
Always
sad because
gets
we'll
me.
never really know.
we will
And
never
so
know.
we'll never
what
really
happened.
know of their heroics. Which for me is really sad. I mean, at least we at least talk about them, but just to know that we'll actually never really know what
We
happened.
will never really know what. We will never really know what happened on that flight because we just will never know. We will never know.
We'll never know.
We can look at all of, whoa, this is what we think happened, and we have this interview, and we have this phone call, but we will never really know what happened on that flight.
No.
All we know is that they were heroes and stopped a tragedy.
Well, in other news, that Halloween
Yeah,
we got so much candy. Well, you weren't born yet, but you were in Mom's tummy.
I wasn't quite a thing.
Now I'm sad.
Sorry.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm
watched
sorry for
the
making you
baseball
sad. I
clip.
was
think
trying to
Mets-
find the book and then I found it.
I think the Mets won and on that day.
He actually wrote a few other books surrounding the war in Afghanistan. Tales of those people as well.
Well, yeah, because I mean, 9/11 is so much more than just 9/11, but
He ended up, I think he wrote at least 2 books surrounding those who served afterwards in the military.
it's just, you know, if you talk about the lives lost, you also have to talk about
Well,
what happened after.
those who went to serve because of. So I'm gonna try to find one of them. Let's see, which one was it?
Couldn't figure out
After
what
his
that guy
story, he would say what they did next, what happened afterwards, but, let's see, where was it? On one of them. Is it the first one? One of them said the next day after the attack, they had gone back to work. All of them wore their military attire. All of them were in battle attire because they all knew that that was it. They were gonna have to fight. They were kind of gonna have to fight.
I died again by this guy, and I don't know where he is.
Stop dying! Duh.
Okay, well, I've tried to go this way about 3 or 4 times, and I've died, so let's go a different way. I just hate my birthday because I usually am like this, and
And then,
I'll
you
usually
know,
see a video or something, and then I'm like, oh, 9/11's in 2 days, or it's tomorrow. And then I'm like,
There,
what is my
Sinky.
birthday today? I'm
what
tearing
is
up
my
again.
birthday?
I'm tearing up again.
That's okay, Sinky. Let those tears fall. It's okay. I head pat you. Virtual head pat. Except, imagine it's just me smacking you.
20 years, I just can't believe it's been 20 years. But then, I mean, then you also, like, for me it's really sad because we also spent 20 years in Afghanistan.
We also spent 20 years in a never-ending war that we really were not winning. We weren't really winning over there. Not a win or a loss.
Like most
We were
wars.
kind of...
Use this to sneak in.
Who the heck?
May this arrow find its mark.
I gotta kill.
This makes things a lot harder. Night here.
Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Thank you. For the people.
This can come in handy.
Should we talk about the radioactive cat again?
Will that make you happy? Will that make you happy?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He backed right into me.
Send his regards. You can't hide from the people.
For the people. The forest sends their regards.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you wanna know something?
Is it happy?
And Oreo and Pokemon are doing are having a limited edition cookies.
Shut up. That's great.
It's each Oreo is gonna have a Pokemon on it.
Wow, really? Mom will have to probably get those. Wait, does Nathan know about Uncharted Legacy of Thieves?
Yeah, but he does have he knows they're getting remastered, but I don't think he cares too much about because it's for the PlayStation 5 PC, and there's no release date, so I don't think he.
I was going to say, oh no.
I don't think he cared a whole lot about it. Just because it doesn't apply to him.
Yeah.
Cannot.
Well, hopefully Nathan will get a PS5 soon.
Oh, I'm sure he will eventually. It takes a bit.
But thank you for telling me about Miles Morales, about the spoiler.
Yeah, you don't want to look at that. Spoilers. And it should. And I expected it to pop up at the stream. I expected it to. But, it's spoilers. And
the thing is, Kristen, because it's for the PS5, I won't be able to play it for
oh my
a
god,
while.
couldn't have seen this coming, but, it's
No,
definitely
I
one
don't want
you
it
would
to
rather
be,
have gone.
because
I would
it's
have rather
Miles
not known
Morales.
this yet.
I know a bunch of, like, I knew Bioshock's ending, or Twist. You know, I know a bunch of video game twists, and so when playing it, I'm like, oh, okay. But with something I think as much as I love
it's one of those
Spider-Man,
endings where you
Miles
just feel like, I
Morales.
would rather not know this right now, and that's what I expected to happen. That's why when it did pop up on the stream. That's why when it did pop up on the stream, I didn't tell Nathan about it. I said, Nathan, it's Spider-Man, don't watch it. And he was like, yep, okay. Because I was watching it for us, because he was in the party chat we were talking about it. And I was like, hey, it's Spider-Man, you don't want to look at the stuff. And he was like, okay.
But man, I play God of War.
I am surprised Wolverine is getting a game.
But I'm really glad, because Wolverine is the most popular X-Men. Plus, then
I'm just
I don't really
surprised.
care about... Because now, hopefully, like, it'll stop Avengers. Because I really don't care about the Avengers. Is that controversial to say? Like, is that, like, the death of me? To say I really don't care about the Avengers? I like Spider-Man. But I mean, there's no other company I would rather have to playing or making.
I think
it's
Insomniac proved that they can make one, honestly, and because it's Insomniac and almost all of Insomniac's games are good, I'll trust them with it.
I don't.
I'll trust him with it only because of their stellar record so far. I mean, they proved that with, all of their games. When it comes to superhero stuff, they've kind of got that down to a T. Like, they've got it down. They've proven they can do it.
I mean, Insomniac, I liked Spider-Man. At one point, I loved Spider-Man, but, not watching any of the movies after The Amazing Spider-Man, I think kind of, but holy crap, I love Spider-Man again. It really made me fall in love with Spider-Man again.
I mean, same with Nathan. I was like, Nathan always tells me, he's like, the only thing he likes about Marvel is Spider-Man. That's it. But even then, he just likes it because of all of the other stuff, minus the movies. It's like, the only thing he cares about is, the Spider-Man stuff, but everything else is no.
Did you hear, apparently, Scarlett Johansson wanted $1 million?
Oh, man.
I don't know, but it's like, you only get one.
I feel like Disney could cough it up, so,
I know, because people are like, oh my gosh, $1 million, wow.
That's probably pocket change to them.
Yeah, that's what somebody was saying, and I'm like, this is the problem that we have when we only get one side of the story instead of both. Because now, like, people are like, well, Scarlett Johansson's being greedy. And you're like, well, is she though? Is she? I personally can never hate Disney, because hating Disney would ruin my nostalgia and childhood. But
I feel like $1 million is like pocket change to them, and they could probably cough it up though. Move on with your lives, y'all. You can do it, no problem. They could offer that up.
Yeah.
That's not something they can do.
I don't know if you like The View or whatever, but the guy who did I actually can't remember the new Marvel movie that was supposed to bomb but didn't bomb.
Shang-Chi or Simu-Lu-He.
Yeah.
Simu-Lu? Him.
Yeah, he's on The View, or he was on The View. If
Oh,
you
good
want,
for
I
him.
can send you some clips.
I may not care about Marvel. I find it really funny. Everyone was like, his movie's gonna flop. And then it did one of the best openers.
See, the thing is,
like,
everyone loves martial arts movies. Like, especially,
what happened to my flop movie all we're talking about?
Personally, I love martial arts movies, especially when they're done by China. Mostly, when they're done correctly. But those movies are usually really good. And so I'm just like, what? Why did you even think this movie was going to flop,
It's gonna flop, really.
Because Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I could have sworn I had the video for, the DVD for, but apparently I don't. And I'm like, what the heck? What was I thinking if I got rid of it? Because it's one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the. I probably will because I love martial art movies, especially when they're done well. And there's not a lot of whitewashing. Plus, there's somebody, I forgot her name, but there's somebody who's in it.
One of the issues that people point out with Shang-Chi is that the comics for Shang-Chi were basically lost to time because white people didn't like them.
Which again is super funny because.
But the movie did great, so. People are trying to find the comics again and bring that into life again because white people were like, this doesn't exist. No, of course not. It kind of just got a little lost along the way because of people interfering.
So yeah, I'll send you like the clips that, because I do think they talked about his the fact that it was supposed to bomb. I just love it when any movie or video game, you know, anything where it's supposed to bomb and yet it does the quite opposite. I always love it because, especially when the people who are, you know, a part of it are really humble.
Flop. Okay.
Are really humble, and he is also very, I mean, he was sarcastic and humorous, but he was also very humble, you know.